Well, folks, Elon Musk and his Doge idiots are doing their part to show how stupid they are. One of the things that they have done is literally list one of the critical civil rights museums trying to sell the building. Yeah, seriously, that's what they're trying to do. The U.S. General Services Administration recently listed the historic Montgomery bus station, now home to the Freedom Rides Museum, for potential sale. The station holds profound significance in the nation's civil rights history. In 1961, Freedom Riders were violently attacked there by white supremacists as they challenged segregation in interstate travel. The proposed sale has sparked immediate reaction. Congressman Shamari Figures and Congresswoman Terry Sewell have jointly urged the GSA to remove the museum from the sale list, emphasizing its invaluable role in educating the public about our nation's struggle for equality and justice. Of course, this is also the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. And of course, it's being commemorated this weekend. Joining us right now is Congressman Shamari Figures of Alabama. Glad to have you here. First and foremost, I take it none of y'all knew about any of this. And this is just another example of Elon Musk and Doge just whacking things left and right, no consideration given to it. They're just looking on a spreadsheet and going, yep, get rid of it.
Absolutely. We had no heads up that this was coming. We knew nothing about this at all. I was just as surprised as everyone to see that this building was something that could even be considered to be sold, given its historical significance to this state, to the civil rights movement, and quite honestly to this country and to the nation. And so we were caught off guard with it, but we jumped into action immediately to push back. Because this is not something that we can tolerate. I also don't think that it was coincidence that this happened the week before they knew we would be descending down to Montgomery and Selma in celebration of the 60th Jubilee.
And as I said, I mean, these guys are just doing whatever the hell. No direction whatsoever. There was an emergency cabinet meeting yesterday where literally Trump's appointees were arguing back and forth with him, like Secretary of State Rubio, like Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, about how they're just making willy-nilly decisions and not thinking through cuts that they're making.
Yeah, no, that's true. And we're seeing that reflected particularly in the Black community. When we look at what they did with land-grant college scholarships, how they impacted the 1890 land-grant colleges, such as Alabama A&M and Tuskegee and FAMU, while at the same time they did nothing to pause that exact same funding to the predominantly white land-grant colleges, which are the Texas A&Ms, the Auburns, the LSUs of the world. And so this is intentional, and that's a fight that we're still having. We just learned yesterday that there's a separate pot of HBCU money that they still have not unfrozen for scholarships and have not touched the money to the predominantly white institutions. And so this is routine of this administration. They are not interested in researching and doing the due diligence before they make these reckless decisions.
The museum here, when I saw Congresswoman Terry Sewell, a tweet from her with regard to this, have y'all heard anything from the GSA since this became public?
Not yet. We just got a letter out yesterday. The news of this just broke with us on Thursday, or we just became aware of it on Thursday because GSA had kind of listed it and then pulled it back and then pulled down the whole website at one point, and so we could not see it directly. But once we confirmed that it had been there, we reached directly out the next morning to GSA. We requested phone calls. Those requests went unanswered. We then sent a letter and obviously pushed out things on social media and pushed out things on press to put the pressure on them. And I think this is something that we will see on. We've reached out to other members of our delegation in Alabama, other Republican members who understand the history of this building and what this means to this area as well. So we're not going to let up on this.
Another question. You voted president along with Congressman Al Green when they were trying to censure him. And a lot of people were trying to understand why. Can you explain it?
I voted in solidarity with Al Green. Literally, there were two people who voted president. It was Al and myself. And I had told Al the day before I was going to vote with him. However he voted, that's how I was going to vote. because he had voted present for the procedural motion. So it was a vote in solidarity with Al, nothing more, nothing less. It was certainly it wasn't a vote of no support. Obviously, we had plenty of Democrats, too many Democrats who voted, in my opinion, to actually censor him. But it was a vote in solidarity with him and in an objection to the process, because there were several things that happened that night that just made even participating in the process of voting on censor just unreasonable to me. We had a member from the Republican Party reach across an aisle and snatch a sign out of a Democratic member's hand,
Yep.
toss it in the air after it looked like President Trump may have even indicated something about that sign to that Republican member. We had another member who was reportedly told to remove a political hat twice and did not, and sat through the entire speech without any repercussions. And so, this one-sided enforcement of decorum is just not right.
What do you make of Speaker Mike Johnson saying he's going to further penalize Democrats?
I think it's not right. I mean, I don't think that's how you lead. I think you lead by example and not lead by exceptions. And right now, he is being an exception to the rules. That for the leader of the House of Representatives, for the Speaker of the House of Representatives, to even use words like punish or penalize Democrats is just unreasonable, particularly when we see the sentiments that come out of the White House routinely, the disrespect, the lack of decency, the inhumane decisions that are coming out of the White House, and how reckless they are and the impacts they're having. To see that come from the Republican side, look, I think that's just totally uncalled for and totally unreasonable.
So the 60th anniversary this weekend. There's going to be the commemorations taking place. They've already started. But we're living in a moment where there's a massive attack on voting rights, and that has been continuing since the Shelby v. Holder decision, and we've seen Republicans doing all they can. And so, beyond the folks who traditionally are making that commemorative march across Edmund Pettus Bridge, what more should be done? What are you? How are you challenging people to use their power? One of the biggest issues that I keep raising is that we are not maximizing our numbers. We should be voting at 70% minimum, 70% of our capacity, and I keep saying that until we do that, we're making it easier for folks to oppose us.
Yeah, when you look historically at the impact of the civil rights movement and why coming out of the civil rights movement, the late '60s, the '70s, into the '80s, we were able to have these gains as Black people in terms of social wins, in terms of things that we were seeing change and giving us a better opportunity to participate in society. It had to do with the fear of the Black vote. It had to do with the fear of people going to the polls and voting for their interests and putting people in office that were going to further the interests of the Black community. And when we don't take advantage of that, we run the risk of losing that, as we have seen. And so our voter turnout is far too low. We have to utilize that power. At the end of the day, we know historically most of the victories that have come for Black people have come through the courts. And obviously some critical pieces of legislation as well. But the courts are the ones that had to uphold those pieces of legislation. And right now, the numbers on the court side are not necessarily in our favor, at least on paper, in terms of who appointed the judges. But one thing that we can control is who we are putting in office to make these decisions at every single level. Because as we see right now, the state elections are the ones that are really having the most ramifications, because those state elected officials are drawing the maps that are, putting Republicans in these consistent positions of power.
All right, then, and Congressman Shamari Figures, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland. Good to see you, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Gonna go to a break. We'll be